Feeding the mind. From caged thoughts to pasture-raised spirit. Caged chickens are caged thoughts. The ego squeezes them into boxes of fear that can barely hold them. Each thought sits cramped and restless, unable to spread its wings. No room to expand into peace. No space for vision. The result is stress, anxiety, and exhaustion. Cortisol and adrenaline surge through the system. But this is more than biology. It is the inner condition of a mind locked in separation. The ego thrives on confinement. It thrives on keeping the mind small. It thrives on panic instead of peace. This is why every egoic diet begins with scarcity. Cage-free seems to offer a solution. But 1 square foot of space is still a prison. The name changes. The paint on the bars looks brighter. But the pattern of confinement remains the same. The ego calls this liberation. It calls this progress. And the mind nods along, believing it has escaped. Then comes the illusion of free range. 2 feet by 2 feet. A doorway in the barn. Sometimes a little patch of grass. Sometimes only cement. But it is still surrounded. Still structured. Still captivity disguised as choice. This is the ego's game of spiritual bypassing. New language. Same limitation. A mind in a barn is still not free. Pasture-raised feels different. 10 feet by 10 feet. Now there is movement. Now there is light. Now forgiveness can begin to breathe. The mind stretches into more space. It tastes expansion. It glimpses that it was never meant to live inside walls. Pasture is not the final truth, but it points toward the infinite. The truth that the mind was designed for open fields without boundaries, for limitlessness, not for cages. Space is health. Confinement is sickness. This law is not only for chickens, it is the law of the mind. And what you feed the mind matters too. Corn and soy are the ego's feed. They are GMO grievances, artificial thoughts of attack, fears sprayed with chemicals of projection. Every bite inflames perception. Too much omega-6, too much judgment, too much conflict. Not enough omega-3, too little forgiveness, too little gentleness. The ratio is all wrong. The ego feeds on imbalance. It keeps the system agitated. Spirit rewrites the menu entirely. Organic peas, barley, oats, wheat. Simple, pure thoughts. Ideas of wholeness. Fish meal. Christ's fish multiplied without end. Insects. Every small irritation of daily life transformed by grace. Nothing wasted. Everything used for healing. The diet of spirit is balance. The diet of spirit is peace. Cheap eggs are cheap thoughts. The ego whispers, save now. And the bill comes later. Later as guilt. Later as sickness. Later as exhaustion. Later as emptiness. Spirit whispers, invest in peace now. The return is eternal. It is not $2 or $7 a dozen. It is the choice between scarcity and abundance, between confinement and freedom, between the ego's junk food and the spirit's holy feast. Caged thoughts will cost everything. They cost the awareness of love itself. Pasture-raised thoughts will cost nothing, because spirit gives freely, and the mind that accepts is nourished forever. So the question remains, what are you feeding the mind? Eggs from the ego's factory, or pasture-raised freedom from spirit's table? Presented for your consideration, a mind that believed its diet came from the world. But the cages were never metal. The feed was never grain. The barn was never real. It was always the thought system chosen. Invest in the cheap diet of the ego, and you pay in guilt. Choose the open pasture of spirit, and you feast on peace. Another meal served in the Twilight Zone.